Thank you for being here with us on Real Estate in the Lowcountry. Meg Herman with Goosehead Insurance is here, and as always, we have a lot to talk about. And we're going to jump in today talking about replacement costs, because that's something we've talked about in the past, but I think it's really important to review because it can kind of get out of whack pretty quickly.
Absolutely, it has, for sure.
Yeah.
Review is the key word, Betsy. Review. So one of the biggest questions we get every day in the agency, clients will come to us and they want to know, why are we insuring my home for this? And depending on their perspective, it seems high, it seems low, but there is something scientific to the idea of the dwelling or replacement value. And one of the key things to remember is your insurance company wants to know that your home is insured to value. So in order for them to provide 100% coverage for your home, they need to believe that we are at replacement cost. So there's software called a replacement cost estimator, where we put all the attributes, features, and finishes into software program, and it brings out a range, right?
Okay.
So there's a range sort of, in terms of like the low end and the high end of where your home should be insured. And depending on like a very premium, high quality, sort of custom home on one end, with just could have Italian tile flown in from Italy, right?
Right.
All the way to something that's more what we call like builder's grade or semi-custom. So somewhere in there you have to be insured to value. So it's very key that we go there. And then the key thing to really remember is if you're going to build a custom home, if you're going to rebuild your house, it's generally going to be a one-off sort of a build. So even if your home were constructed by many of the really fantastic builders that do communities, right? When they leave the community, you're building your house over again. So we have to make sure that we're talking all the time to the Home Builders Association and those really great custom builders about their costs, because the cost of labor, cost of materials have really increased over the past few years, especially since COVID.
Absolutely.
So it might surprise you what it is and what it will cost to replace your home.
Yeah.
We started off by talking about reviewing. That's kind of what we're all about. As an independent agency, we have a multitude of companies, and we want to spend time, with our clients, on at least every 2 to 3 years. Just let's look at the coverages and make sure that they're in line with what the carrier wants.
What actually is
and what the
real.
What the market will bear. I think the last thing that we want is to be on the end of your driveway after a big loss and not have enough, right? So it's really important to have that conversation. Ask about the replacement cost estimator, ask about the features and finishes, and have that conversation with your agent.
Okay. Well, kind of dovetailing with that is, you mentioned before we started filming that sometimes people will, on purpose, be underinsured because they don't feel that there's the value there for some reason. So talk to us about reviewing with them and making sure that you're leading them, with the advice that maybe gets them to what they really should have. Right.
Well, there's a couple things you can do. One thing, there are endorsements out there to extend the replacement cost of your home. So always ask your agent about an extended replacement cost endorsement or an additional amount of insurance on the dwelling. Okay. Those are really key, important things. But again, we go back to the range, right? If you are someone who doesn't, who's willing to take a little risk, right, and insure their home on the low side, you really, as low as you can go is what the insurance company believes is the low side of the replacement cost estimator. Yeah. So there are times when we're with clients saying, you've got to insure it for more. I mean, in order for this to be, accepted by the carrier. Right. But 98.5, I don't know the real number, but it's a lot. Most, homeowners' losses are a partial loss. So clients will say to me sometimes, Meg, I'm willing to take a little risk on that, what is a very remote possibility. Important, but remote.
Real, but remote.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. The key thing is let's talk about the range, and then let's make sure that you're in that range and that you feel comfortable with the level of coverage, the policy affords.
Right. So that, God forbid something were catastrophic.
Right.
You could at least
You want it to do its
rebuild.
job.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
want to build you a house, right?
I mean, if you're paying for it, you want it to do its job.
We want it to do its job.
Oh my gosh, I can't rebuild my house. Yeah, so really important notes there. You said about every 2 to 3 years, you really want to take a deeper dive into your policy?
I think so. I mean, we as an agency, we look at what is the sort of average rate increase over from year to year. If it's outside that range, we're going to proactively come to you and say, hey Betsy,
Yeah.
it's time for a chat.
Yeah.
If not, but at any time, you know, it's important to you to look at it, then you should have an agent that wants to sit down with you.
Well, Meg, it's always great information. Thank you so much for
Good
being
to be here.
Yeah.